How you doing? The music is provided by my boyfriend, Chip Gross. He's just on today. So this is a continuation of my crazy theory. I've had a lot of comments, a lot of good feedback. Thank you very much. I love it. Keep it coming. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this big time. So yes and no. If you treat the head, you treat the heart. Not really. They're two separate bodies. Yes, it is like forgiveness. And for some people, treating the head can treat the heart. Because, what is that? Frank Zappa, if the mind's tore up, then the body don't care. If the body's tore up, the mind don't care. That kind of thing. But they are two separate bodies. Because we have five bodies. 3 aspects, 5 bodies. So our 5 bodies, that's our physical, spiritual, emotional, and psychological self with the divinity within. It's 5 aspects of us. This avatar cannot hold the essence of everything that we are. It just can't contain it. And the 3 aspects, the higher self, the physical, and the lower self, the inner child. Of course, we have to hail the inner child in our connection to Gaia before we can, or Tara, 5th dimension, before you can ascend and connect with your higher self. So, let me see, I've got notes everywhere. I've been at this for a minute. As it comes in, okay, there are actually people out there, businesses, whatnot, that are offering classes on how to replace your ego with your soul to reach spiritual intelligence. They say that this is necessity. This is necessary. Say what? Let me say that again. They're saying to replace the ego with the soul. How can you do that? Please, enlighten me. I really, really want to know. Because you can't replace any of your bodies with anything. You need all of them. It's like killing the shadow or getting rid of your shadow. You can't do that. It's already part of you. How in the hell are you going to get rid of a piece of you? Hang on, I got to get rid of this ear. I don't like it. It takes all the parts to make a whole. You get rid of any of those parts and the whole is no longer whole. Yes, I understand the fractal concept and, each piece contains a picture of the whole. I get that. But as an avatar and as we are sitting now as a human being, I call them beings. I know it's being, but it's a being. We can't get rid of any part of ourselves. That would take away from our true authentic self. Would it not? Okay. So the concept of people pushing for us to get rid of replace our ego with our soul for spiritual intelligence, which is also pure manifestation, is not a good concept. And they're teaching classes on how to do this. 3 steps, by the way. I haven't taken the classes yet. I'm curious. I just might. First off, we need our ego. Our ego pulls in life force prana into our torus, which is in our midsection here. And then it is spread throughout our body by our meridians. Okay. How the fuck can we get rid of that? I'm sorry, but you can't. Now you can transcend or transmute the negative ego construct, which is that talk, that chatter in your head that never ever freaking stops. Which, by the way, when you make the move from your head to your heart and put your head in service of your heart, the chatter stops. That ceaseless, endless chatter in the back of your head that's always going, it stops. Your mind sits idle, waiting for instructions from your heart. Neat, huh? Okay, so let's see. Yeah, the negative ego construct. It's impossible to get rid of the ego. Any part of us. All parts are needed to make the whole. Something applies to the same thing. The same thing applies to the shadow. You can in no way get rid of your shadow. That's the silliest thing ever. You can, however, bring it to the light and accept that part of yourself. But that's a whole nother topic for another day. Today I'm talking about the human being and the 5 bodies, okay? Within, which happens to be 2 sets of polarities, okay? This is a crazy concept. Bear with me. And the divinity within. See, I'm not sure how many people realize there's 2.1 trillion volts of electricity flowing through our bodies. But to be exact, we are electromagnetic, just like our beautiful planet is electromagnetic. You know, the Mayans, their cities, I don't know how to say it. It looks like a circuit board from above. The Hanapku, it's a circuit board. It's an electrical circuit board that we all somewhere fit into this diagram. We're both positive and negative. Polarities. This is a dimension of duality and polarities. The dimension of polarities, where we need to find the neutrality so we can balance, drop the hemisphere, and have the union within. The union within. We can't have any damn union with any twin flame outside of ourselves before we have a union within. So that bandwagon, it's a dangerous one. It really is. Because everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to have that other person and know that there's that other person at the exact same frequency that they are that gets them. That's why everybody jumped on that bandwagon. It's not a hard concept to understand. To shun it is bullshit too, because it is a real thing. But there is no damn way that you can have a union, outer union without an inner union. And I have not met anybody that has had an inner union. If they have, it's a monk that's transcended to rainbow body and is no longer in this dimension because they transcended, they evolved. So the twin is, however, extremely important because they are the catalyst, they are the mirror, they are the catalyst that sets us on this journey of the union with it. Seeing, mirroring ourselves back to ourselves, going, I am not that big of an asshole. Yes, you are. Deal with it and accept those parts of yourself. It's a denied energy. That's all it is. And you get both your energies from both your parents' shadow energy. Each parent has a shadow energy that is denied, and those 2 energies combined make your 2 energies. We are literally a shadow of our parents. So to bring that forward to the light is what is needed, those denied energies. And those denied energies and the dominant energy is nothing but control dramas on how we try to control our environment to protect ourselves. Are you one that keeps energies at an arm's distance, needs your sacred space, or are you one that pulls it into you and keeps it tight to control your environment? These are questions you have to ask yourself. These are both energies that we all have, but one is dominant and one is denied. So basically, you need to ask yourself if you're afraid of being controlled or in fear of abandonment. Those are the 2 things, control or abandonment, which would happen to be a polarity as well. It's the neutrality that we have to find. This is the dimension of polarities. Masculine, feminine, negative, positive. It's 2 extremes of the same thing. So as I'm doing this and going through these things and they're popping in my head, I'm asking myself these questions, So I had a vision back in 2016, I think it was. I had a vision of this. Let's see. See that symbol? Okay. For the longest time, I actually thought maybe it was my personal symbol because I also heard Be True to You with it and a few other things that I don't have on me right now. I have them written in another book. I have like 30 journals. I actually thought maybe it was my root race sigil too, which it actually still could be. But I've somehow figured out that this drawing, this vision I had, is a 2-dimensional drawing sigil of a fifth dimensional geometry. Imagine it moving in 5 dimensions. Okay, in motion. To me, it reminds me of an atom with a nucleus and the protons and neutrons and electrons and all that around it. Okay? That's what it does to me. I mean, if it does to you or not, let me know. I'm not going to try to explain the human as an electromagnetic being right now. But back to our 4 bodies, okay? So this sigil, be true to you, be true to you. And then I'd hear, it's the human, it's the human, it's the 4 bodies. It represents 4 bodies, and the diamond in the center represents the divinity within, which we all have, this same energy, this matter. It's be the opposite. It's matter and antimatter. What CERN is trying to do, they're pulling more antimatter into this realm of existence, because antimatter, depending on your feelings, will stick to your negative feelings, and you'll never be able to get rid of the antimatter. Therefore, you have a demon attached to you that you can never get rid of, that's controlling you from another realm. Why are they doing this? Because they've been duped. That's why. Personal opinion, it's personal opinion. So, okay. Like I said, everything is in 2 with the human. Polarities that would entail finding balance between the 2 sets of polarities. Hang on. I'm going to find my place. Okay, and the polarities are like, they're extremes of the same thing. So I'm asking myself, what are these polarities of? Well, they're polarities of a human, okay? And this took me a minute. And my boyfriend, he's like, I don't get what you're trying to say. And I'm like, okay. You know, balance the polarities. Our 4 bodies are 2 sets of polarities. Balancing and finding the neutrality between the 2 sets of polarities. All right. Okay. This is so hard. It's harder to explain than I thought it would be. So we have the physical and the spiritual is one side. That would be, and then the psychological and the emotional would be the other side. So those are 2 polarities of one extreme. Those are 2 extremes of one thing. That would be the human, right? Bear with me with this concept. But we can't just balance the physical and spiritual and the psychological and emotional. They're 2 things. 2 things on the same extremes. So we have to dive deep inside each body. How do we do that? First, we go to the physical and the spiritual side. Let's start there. What would be those polarities of physical and spiritual? It's 2 extremes of the same thing, and they're the same thing. All 4 of those things are the same thing. They're human. It'd be the ego and the soul. So how can you replace the ego with the soul? They're 2 extremes. You're supposed to find the balance. Not replace one or the other for spiritual intelligence. And replacing the ego with the soul is not how you reach the spiritual intelligence. You have 4 bodies. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. So the ego, which is a necessary thing, absolutely necessary. It draws in life force, prana, chi, energy. We need to live, to survive. Our bodies need it. And then the soul, that's what this big old hoopla is all about. Don't you know? It's the only thing that this huge war between all love and fear is all about, is the souls. They're not telling you that. I am. That's all it's all about, is your precious little soul. And here you idiots are selling it for money in one lifetime. And being told you can live for eternity. We already live eternally. Why do you have to sell your soul for money? We don't even need money. Some people should have been swallowed. I'm sorry. Back to my thing. Anyway, so ego, it's magnetic, right? Because we're electromagnetic. That's all we are, is electromagnetic. Actually, everything else is an illusion. We're electric. You know, your house is in motion and it doesn't collapse into a structure until you observe it. So are we the same? Until somebody observes us, we collapse back into this form? Or are our bodies always solid? Even though all our atoms and molecules are in motion. That's a good one too. So ego is magnetic, masculine, positive. I believe it's air, and I believe it's west, the direction. The soul, which is the other extreme of the ego, which makes sense because it's two extremes of the same thing, is electric, not magnetic. It's electric, feminine, negative, earth, and north. So you have to find the balance, and trust me, I haven't gotten there yet, the balance between the ego and soul. I still have my ego, even the negative ego construct. I'm a little sarcastic too. And I still have my soul, very much so, in up front, and here I am. But I don't know how to balance them yet. Not yet. Not yet. So we have to take these two things, this physical and the spiritual, because they're on the same side of one polarity. One is magnetic and one is electric. One is male, one is female. One's positive, one's negative. It's the balance between those two on that one side that we need to find. Okay, we got that. So 2 arms on my drawing. Can we see it? 2 of these would be negative and positive. Negative and positive. And the other 2, remember, it's spinning. How's it spin? Perpetual motion. Negative and positive. So we find the balance between the ego and the soul. Okay? On the other side, we have the psychological and the emotional. They are not the same thing. Yes, in some people, you can treat the head and treat the heart. It is a lot like forgiveness. Absolutely. But not all people are the same. Yes, we are a collective, but we are not hive-minded. We are individuals. Very well. You have to take every aspect of everything into account when you're trying to figure these things out, or if you're trying to figure these things out. You can't leave out one, like saying replace the ego with soul, but what about psychological and emotional bodies? You know, and why are you replacing one of the polarities totally with the other? That's not neutrality. That's not balance. No way in hell is that balance. You can't do that. That's like making you less than what you really are as a whole. So for the psychological and emotional, the 2 polarities within those 2, I think, this is my personal opinion, remember guys, none of this is solid. This is my theory. It's crazy theory, but I do think it holds validity. Fear and love are the polarities within the psychological and the emotional side. Fear and love. That would be the polarities of psychological and emotional. You find the balance between those 2 emotions, because those are the only 2 we have. The only 2 we have. And the psychological, the mind, the heart exists. The heart is created first in the womb. Not the mind. The mind is part of this avatar. Is it not? It's one of our 4 bodies as we're in this avatar, just like the physical is. Get it? So the psychological and the physical are 2 extremes of a polarity. The spiritual and the emotional are 2 extremes of a polarity. But because they're negative, positive, positive, negative, they become polarities themselves. God, I hope this makes sense. Fear is magnetic, masculine, positive, fire, south. Love is electric, feminine, negative, water, east. Okay? The physical, spiritual is one extreme. Psychological, emotional is the other extreme. They are polarities for the human. Therefore, the 2 extremes within these polarities, so we must balance each extreme of the polarities, and that would entail finding balance between ego and soul for the physical and spiritual, and balance for fear and love between the psychological and emotional bodies. Once you can synchronize, oh no, that's something else. Sorry. all the while keeping in mind that man is the measure of the universe, micro, macro, cosmic, of it all. Did you hear what I said about the air and the water? They have our Merkaba spinning backwards. One of the polarities is spinning backwards. What would that do to us if our Merkabas were not spinning right? That would age us. That would turn the flower of life into the daisy of death, would it not? Our Merkabas are spinning backwards because our polarities are messed up. They've taught us this for thousands of years. Why would we think otherwise? We can't physically see it. Most people can't physically see it. Just like they've messed up the electromagnetics of the planet, not realizing that we actually control those with our own electromagnetics. That's why they're failing. Because they've got us spinning in the wrong direction. Siphoning off our life force energies. Once we find the balance within each extreme, we can begin to balance the outer polarities. We have to balance the inner polarities, which is love, fear, ego, soul. When we balance those, we can balance the physical, spiritual, and the psychological and emotional. Our inner world is a reflection of our outer world. We cannot have an outer union without an inner union. That's what I got so far. So far. And it's taken me a minute to get there. Not really. It's taken me a couple nights of massive downloads. I don't know what happened to me or when it happened to me. Uploaded, downloaded, I have no idea. But this stuff is in my head and I'm trying to sort it out, considering I'm not a scholar in any of these fields. I'm an artist. I draw, sculpt, carve, paint, anything and everything. I can do that. This stuff, and anything spiritual, that I do know. Breath work is utterly important, and so isn't yoga. Yoga helps align all four bodies. There are 9 yoga points in our body. There are 9 colors, not 7. The other 2 colors we're missing is gold and silver. You cannot make those colors with other colors. They simply are gold and silver. The other 2 polarities are between our knees and our feet. But then there's 15. There's a lot more than that, but we'll start small. The numbers they have out there are wrong. They've altered everything that we think we know. They've omitted or altered. Where do we go from there? They've kept it so we cannot evolve, so we cannot advance spiritually, so we are stuck in perpetual enslavement. Bullshit. There are those of us that remember. There are those of us that are remembering. And we're going to wake everybody else up too. Because we're going to the top and we're all going together. Right? I'm feeling brand new. Love, Prof. Shout out. Peace. Infinite love and gratitude, guys. Let me know what you think. If I'm totally off my rocker. I might be. Might be a total nutter. But then again, I might not be. I might actually be onto something. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. In Lakesh Alakin. And check out New Shoes by Prof.